Welcome to Church Cars and welcome to another video on the Bootstrap Banger. It's going to be the last video on this car for a little while. Is that sad news? Well, if you've seen the last episode, you'll know that the car has got some pretty extensive rust behind the rear wheel arch liners, extending down to suspension jacking points, probably going into the back of the inner sill. Don't really know how far it's gone. Beyond my expertise, I asked a mobile welder to come out and have a look at it. When I told him what the job was, he basically said he wasn't interested. So I've had to make a decision. So follow along and see what we do next. Well, the decision I've made is to get up in the air, get underneath and show you what we're dealing with, and to pull the trigger and fire the parts cannon. Oh no, what have I done? Right, well, I've bought myself a new battery. That's wrapped up at the back there. I'm going to chuck that on, get the car running, see if it actually does run on its own and idles okay and gets up to temperature, because I haven't actually done that yet. I've got it started, but I haven't actually got up to temperature, and I know there's some kind of coolant leak issue. And I've also got the suspension bits that you'll have seen on the last video we needed. So I've got a couple of CV joint repair kits, I've got the drop links, and I've got my track rod ends. Car's up in the air at the moment, and I'll get underneath and have a quick look. But I need to get all this thrown back together. I'm not going to get the suspension done today. That'll take probably half a day, to be fair, because it's about 4 o'clock. I'm going to lose light soon, and tomorrow I've got a transporter. I'm going to ship this off to a welder over in Coventry who's going to get cracking on it for me. I'm a bit nervous about the price because I kind of feel like the price he's given me might be for either side, but he's quoted it for both sides. So I'm kind of going to go with, well, that's what you said it would cost for the whole job, mate, but we'll see. So it might end up coming back from him before he does it, but I am determined to try and save this baby, and that's why I bought these parts. The battery I won't be able to get my money back on, but it's a pretty standard size, so if it does end up getting scrapped, I've got a spare battery. These parts are from Eurocar Parts. I can take them back if I need to. So I've got them in stock, because the plan will be getting it welded, then booking it for the MOT and driving it from the welding station to the MOT, where I know it'll fail on those bits. I've then got a few days of grace to sort them out in my own time, as it were, and I can drive it back for a retest. As long as that's the only stuff it fails on, then this car's going to be worth doing. Obviously, I don't want it to fail the test having had a load of welding done on it, but I also don't want to just pour endless amounts of money into this car either. So let's get underneath it and have a quick look at this rust. So we can see under here that there is a fair bit of surface rust on the kind of components that are mounted under here. That's the fuel tank there. I'm not overly worried about that rust because it is just surface rust. If I get some rust preventative primer and then stick some stone chip on that, that'll be fine. The issue I've got is where we come under here, and as you can see, there's a hanging point for the exhaust there, but behind that there's actually the suspension arm bolted in. I don't know how well you can see that, to be fair. There you go, you can see that there. Unfortunately, around that it's actually becoming corroded, and that's what I'm worried about, is this rust under here. That's what's causing me a problem, because once that goes, you're pretty much knackered and you're going to fail an MOT, because it's a suspension arm, and so it's a prescribed area. This side isn't the worst side, but you can see down into the chassis rail there, you can see how corroded it is. So what I need to do is I need to get somebody who's a very handy and experienced welder to get under here, or to get it up actually onto a ramp to do it properly, and give all of this a really good wire brush, and then repair any of those holes, like just on the inside there you can see, not the bottom one, that's a drain hole, but up on the high bit behind that cable you can see. So it's going to need going through, and that's going to take some time. It's a skilled job. You can see down the outside of the chassis rails, obviously the jack stand, it's on its chassis rails at the moment on the jack stand, but it's just a bit scabby all the way down. I wanted to wire brush that and underseal it before it went, but A, I've run out of time, and B, I don't want to hide anything. If there's a problem, I want this guy to be able to see it. Other than that, you know, it's not too bad. The floor pan is okay. It's a bit scabby at the back there again. Does any of that need welding? If it focuses, it doesn't really look like it does. I think it just needs a good wire brush and a bit of treatment. And again, on that side as well, it's just a bit scabby. I mean, the inside of the boot is fantastic. We've seen that already on previous videos. Just needs a bit of prevention. Let's have a look at the other side. I'm a lot more hemmed in down here because of the spare wheel kind of housing. So it's quite difficult to get in there, and for some reason my light's not come on the camera. Essentially, you can see, you can't see anything really, but there are rust holes here where my finger is. That's flaking. And so I'm just going to give it a little love tap with the hammer. Again, I don't want to put any massive holes in it. I'm really impeded here in my access, so it's very difficult to do this. But you can see, perhaps you can see there, just a couple of little taps, and that noise, that's not the noise you want to hear really. That's got like lumps coming off it. That noise is okay. That noise there, not so good. Okay, so just a few little taps, and you can see down here how much is coming off and how big some of those chunks are. So this is like a serious problem, and the issue is you go to an MOT test, it goes up on the ramp, the test is going to take one look at that. Oh jeez, this camera angle is terrible, sorry guys. The test is going to take one look at that and just say, yeah, no, do not pass go, do not collect 50 quid, but do go to prison. So it's a bit of a mare, so it's got to go to a welder. Let's get on with the battery, get the wheels back on, get it running, and talk about next steps. I mean, I don't want to be overly dramatic, but you can just see how much crud and crap has come out of that wheel well. And it's the same both sides, really. I know this has been dirty since I jet washed it, but that is all fresh rust, and there's a lot of it. Wheels both on quick enough, and it really does get sped up by using what is just a cordless combi drill with one of these 1/2-inch adapters in it. You know, it's not going to torque it down at all, but it just helps like take the slack out of the nut, and honestly it saves about 5 minutes a corner. It's brilliant. So highly recommend. You don't need an impact wrench, that just takes all the slack up, and then you can nip it up with a extension bar. Brilliant. Right, onto the battery now. At this point I should highlight that the old owner Tej did me a solid, or tried to do me a solid, tried to take the old battery back. I think it's Auto Euro Carport, somewhere like that, I don't know. He got it from somewhere. Anyway, he tried to take it back and they were having none of it, which is a shame because it was guaranteed for 5 years, but I suppose it was sat anyway. So it is what it is. I've also been trying to find a brake servo to replace this just because it looks crusty. I don't know if it works or not. I'll be able to test all that when the brakes are running. So, you know, if I've got vacuum, the brakes will work. If I don't have vacuum, the brake pedal will be rock hard and it won't work. So I'll know whether or not the servo itself is knackered. But that housing is toast, so it just wants a bit of work, or it wants to be replaced. I don't think they're repairable. Anyway, I'm going to chuck this battery on and then we'll give it a fire and see if it goes. Just quickly before I put the battery on, I'm just going to say I'm really impressed with Tainer batteries. I ordered these yesterday afternoon. They came this morning first thing. As it says at the top very helpfully, make sure you take the transit plugs out. Obviously you get build up of gas with batteries, and you also have to take these bad boys off before you fit it to the actual car, otherwise you ain't going to get any current flow. And just take off the protective wrapping, and then bang it in the car the way the old one came out. Always good practice to attach the positive first and the neutral second, and then when you take the battery off, take the neutral off first and the positive second. Same with jumper cables, always red to dead, back with black is the way I remember it. Right, we'll get this on and we'll see if the engine turns. I have been fettling on the car to try and fix this dodgy door handle on the driver's side. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that right now. So let's have a little look. Let's see how we get on. Move all the boot carpet. Still need to wet back that. Okay, let's tuck that out of the way. Right, so get a bit closer to the action. clutch in, turn them off. Started on the button but died straight away. Oh, it's not very happy. Oh, it doesn't really want to idle. Have I got any clutch? I don't know if I've got any clutch. Brake feels okay. So brake might be okay. I've got a warning light on. Okay, so it's settled. It is idling. In fact, it sounds okay. It's a little bit hesitant. It's not too bad. As predicted, I need a code for the radio. So if anybody does know, if anyone's got any hacks or can help me out with that, that'd be brilliant. Clock's working, so that's good to see. That warning light might just be the handbrake. So let's just take the handbrake off. Yeah, okay. So that's handbrake. Brilliant. I'm just going to let this run for a bit now. What else can I do? I might put this door card back on, actually. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll put the door card back on and just let this run for a bit. I haven't managed to fix this brake, but it'll just fix this handle. But it will just make it a bit easier to open from the inside, because at the moment that's not secured in very well. So yeah, I'll crack on and do that while this is running. Just while I'm sticking this back together and I'm waiting for the car to come up to temperature, I thought I'd just turn the fans on so I can see when the actual thermostat opens up. And I found that this selector here just doesn't work. It doesn't want to do anything, which is annoying. This works okay, so temperature's fine. The fan itself is fine, but that's kaput. So that could well be related to whatever's going on. Also, this car is beginning to pong again. It's been raining a lot recently. It's really started to smell again. So I don't think I've dealt with all of the legacy issues of whatever's been living with it. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. We just need to get this fucking car on the road, really. So let's get this door trim back on and get it ready to go off to the welder. We've got life. We've got lights. I'll check the brake and reverse light in a minute. Side indicator. Front indicator, headlights, front indicator, and another side indicator. Let's see if we've got full beam. Yeah, we do. Brilliant. And let's see if I can figure out if I've got brakes or not. Yeah, I've got brake lights. Well, I've got at least one brake light coming on. So yeah, MOT pass, I reckon. Have some of that. It is starting to feel like the welding is the only thing holding us back now. Do the suspension jobs when it gets back from that. Isn't coming up to temperature. I'll just turn those lights off. It isn't coming up to temperature very quickly, so that's probably a good sign. I am just going to turn it around on my driveway, which is a bit of a narrow, small driveway. So it could be quite hard to turn that around on my driveway, if you catch my drift. But I'm just going to stay on my driveway and turn the car around to make it a bit easier to load up tomorrow. Let's see how I get on. So I managed to do a surprisingly good job of turning that around on my driveway. What can I report? Well, the steering is really heavy, so do I have a power steering issue? Possibly. The brakes, there are brakes. It doesn't feel like the servo has gone actually, but the brakes aren't very good at all. Clutch seems okay. It's going into all the gears, which was hard to test on the driveway, but I managed to get it done. And it actually drives okay. The steering is heavy, but it drives okay. I reckon this will drive back from the welder okay. So the plan is, next steps, I'm gonna continue just to let this heat warm up a little bit. There was a bit of white smoke as I just kind of got it into gear and moved it initially. Could be condensation because it's been sat ages, but it seems to stop. So is there a head gasket issue? Possibly. That would explain the coolant issue as well. So potentially it might need a head gasket, but we'll see. If it does, then that's fine actually, because I've got a workshop. I can get it over there and I can do it myself. That'd actually be quite good content for the video, for the channel. So tomorrow I'm getting a transporter. I'm hiring a transporter for the day. I'm off to pick up a car, a new project. I'm getting that from Mr. Chris Pollett from Pollett's Projects. So I'm taking Doug the Beetle off him. My wife's wanted a Beetle for ages, so that's perfect. So by the time you see this video, I'll have gone and got that. I might even have done a walk around on that Beetle, so apologies if the syncing of these videos isn't great. While that's away, this will be being worked on by a welder over in Coventry. So that's I can't remember what they're called now, but I'll get that properly and give them a shout out and a chuck. And between both those projects, so that gets us back on the right trajectory, having been stalled slightly for a bit. And then between those two projects, I've also got my grand unannounced project, which I want to announce and show you all about that as well. In terms of kind of what this car needs, so the welding, I need to do the suspension on the front. I probably do need to do the brakes, you know, in all honesty, having just kind of felt them then. Not a big job, just again, it's more money I don't really want to spend right now. All in all, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be pushing whether or not this is economically viable, and that's even having bought it at scrap. But yeah, so it's going to need the suspensions. I'll need to replace the washer wipers, top up the fluids. I won't give it a service before the MOT. I'll just get it to the MOT. I might let it fail on all those suspension bits first, just so I've got a list of what needs doing basically, and then get it back for its retest. And hopefully, fingers crossed, in maybe 2 or 3 videos time, this will have a ticket on it, and it will still be good to go to Rustival on the 9th of March. So that's the deadline. That's what I'm aiming for. At the moment, things feel like they're heading in the right direction, albeit I'm having to throw a bit of money at it. So yeah, so thanks for watching on. Hope that video wasn't too long or boring. Thanks for the support on the channel. Please do like and subscribe. Let's really push the numbers up. I am targeting 500 subscribers this year, and I want to hit 3,000 hours watched in the year as well. And that just unlocks a few little features on the channel, so I can start to do a little bit more interactive content as well. So that's what I'm aiming for. So thanks from a very doomy, gloomy Fiesta for bearing with and watching me get this back up and running with a battery. And yeah, I've got a car. I've actually got a car. This actually runs, it drives, it's fine. It's holding temperature absolutely fine at the moment. It's still not up to normal operating temperature. It's been running a good 30 minutes now. I know it needs to have a proper drive to get up to operating temperature, but I'll leave it another 10 minutes, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.